Hey all, how you doing? It's me, San. I'm here for my monthly vlog, and just before I begin, I'd like to apologise for not doing one this month at the start of the month because I usually do at the start of the month. Um, this is going to be kind of like a double whammy. Like I'm not going to bother doing one in February because otherwise I'll be covering things that I'm already talking about in this video. Uh, Basically, I didn't do one at the start of the month because I did a yearly wrap up of last year of my YouTube journey, or should I say 6 months of that year, because I only started YouTube in August of last year. Um, yeah, if you're new to this sort of format, this is more casual, me just kind of chatting to you about stuff I've been reading, picked up graphic novel, comic book wise, games I've been playing, even like stuff I haven't really covered yet, and some of them I will be covering in the future, and just having a general chat like about stuff I've been up to, like even like stuff with my cycling, that sort of thing. Even though it's been a bit cold for cycling recently, it's been very cold. We had that very cold snap here in Norfolk and in other parts of the UK where we had snow. So riding a road bike on that sort of a climate is a bit of a no-no. But even like the temperatures. But I'm chatting too much about cycling. I'll probably chat about more about it. So let's talk about stuff I've been reading. Comic book wise, a couple of new ones I've been reading. Continuation of what I've been currently reading is The Punisher Red Band. I've talked about this. Really good, really good. I'm not going to show bits inside because otherwise YouTube won't like that because it's too graphically violent. Red Band, meaning that it's not suitable for young audiences. It's very violent, very gory. Although you can't swear in these comics. Expletives are still censored in the Red Band comics. It's this classic Punisher action. The gist of it is that they brought Frank Castle back from the dead because Frank Castle hasn't been in the Punisher for quite a long time, and he has amnesia. I know, kind of a bit lazy amnesia angle, but it turns out he's being controlled by the Kingpin with a microchip that's digged into his brain. I know, microchip. And it's quite interesting. He starts to become more self-aware, understand his past again, and it's just a really interesting narrative, this one. And this is part 4. At the time of recording, part 5 is on its way. I believe it's either a 6-part or a 5-part, so that's cool. Looking forward to reading the final issues of this. Up next is another, I know, Punisher, but it's Daredevil and the Punisher, part 3, issue number 3. Really good, written by Jimmy Palmiotti, who, if you want to read like sort of definitive Punisher stories and narratives, it's either him or Garth Ennis. And Palmiotti is just fantastic. It's not only has he written like Punisher and that sort of thing, he's written like Batman, like Harley Quinn, that sort of thing. He's quite like sort of like a respected legacy writer of the genre from the past 20 to 30 years. And this is fantastic. The sort of dichotomy between Daredevil and the Punisher always works really well because they both believe the system is broken, but they have different ways of dealing with how the law deals with things. Where Frank believes like he should be able to execute people on the street. Daredevil still, because he's also a lawyer, spoiler alert I suppose, like Daredevil Matt Murdock is a lawyer, and he believes that you should be able to get people through the system and lock them up indefinitely, that sort of thing. But ultimately, if you've watched like the television show, you know that's just not true. And ultimately, there's always corrupt people within the system. And Frank, of course, always believes like if you wipe them out, you wipe them out, they can't get back up, they can't do bad anymore. And it's always interesting when these two characters are in on the page or on screen, with the case of Daredevil Born Again with last year and the new season of that coming out, although I believe the Punisher's not in Daredevil season 2, Born Again season 2, sorry. So yeah, really good. Issue number 4 was out in March now because it's meant to come out in February, but for some reason they keep just fiddling the release dates. Probably due to political tensions in the United States at the moment. I'm going to show all 3 of these because these were charity shop finds in terms of graphic novels. I was commenting to my partner like about a few weeks ago and throughout the months last year that I haven't found any good like graphic novels in charity shops. Same goes for games, to be honest, because I think everyone's doing it. Everyone's looking for like a bargain for like in terms of like games, graphic novels, that sort of thing. Oh, my ring light was just flickering then. Anyway, yeah, I got these 3 Deadpool graphic novels. They were £12.50 it cost me altogether for all 3 of these. This isn't mine, cellophane wrapping, protective wrapping around it. They came like this when I bought them in the charity shop. Obviously, because I've read all three of them, by the way, they're very funny and very good. Self-aware humor. I love Deadpool, one of my favorite characters in Marvel outside of the Punisher and Daredevil. Yeah, they came like this. When I took them out to read them, they look like they've never been opened. They look like they've never been read. They obviously got bought like for like Christmas. I'll show you different covers as I talk, and or whatever, a birthday or something. They just never read them. Just donated them. I mean, I don't think they're worth particularly that much in terms of value, but they're just really crisp, really nice condition, and I was very surprised by that. And I found them very funny, especially this one. I'll show you the back why when he's in the 1970s, and they're just brilliant. I just absolutely love Deadpool when just his humor. Some people find him irritating. It's like, oh, he never shuts up, and I just go, well, that's his character. He's literally called the Merc with the mouth. But it's just good to see graphic novels in charity shops for a decent price too. Like £12.50, you wouldn't get that for a brand new graphic novel. I mean, like maybe if it was on sale in Forbidden Planet, but £12.50 for free. And these would have cost, like, how much would these cost? Like they're $15.99 US, so about 15 quid or 14 quid, probably about £17 depending on the novel, that sort of thing. Yeah, to have all these for £12.50 each is fantastic, and yeah, I just love Deadpool. But that's enough about me talking about comics. I will get into games I picked up and games I've been playing over the past, well, 2 months in the case of this vlog here. But yeah, let's get to the game, shall we? So in terms of games, I'll drag this pile over here. It's not that heavy, I'm just doing that for effect. But I picked up quite a few games over the past month. Let's start with the, how should we put it, classic stuff that I picked up and played. Let's go with some PSP ones. I picked up Miami Vice on PSP. A bit of an overlooked title. It's not particularly spectacular, this game, but think of it as like they took the controls of Resident Evil 4. Not as good as Resident Evil 4. I'm talking like the OG Resident Evil 4, by the way. And they just made a Miami Vice game based on the 2006 film. I think that one came out. And it's not amazing game, but it's all right. It's not bad. I bought it for like a £5 with CEX voucher. Again, this with PSP games, they all seem to be like complete most of the time when I buy them. It controls fairly well. It's pretty stock standard third-person shooter. My only gripe is that when you're in combat in this game, the enemies have a habit of just spouting the same one-liners over and over and over again, and that can get quite irritating when they're spouting the same sort of profane insult at you like every 5 minutes. Up next is one I picked up. I've wanted for a while on PSP. I've never played this one before when it came out, and that's Star Wars Elite Squadron. Forgot the name for a minute, and the case was right in front of me. This is quite an overlooked one in the Star Wars Battlefront series. If you know anything about the history of the Star Wars Battlefront series with the Free Radical version of Battlefront 3 from back in 2008, 2007, 2008, the ill-fated Star Wars Battlefront 3, this takes a lot of elements from it and puts it on the PSP. Obviously, it's more restricted because of the handheld nature of the PSP and its sort of restricted hardware, but it takes a lot of elements from this game, like being able to go from surface to space battles, that sort of thing. But when you go to space battles, it obviously has a loading screen because obviously it can't be seamless on something like the PSP. It has the in-depth sort of storyline where you play as because it's from the Free Radical version, where you play as the clone trooper who ends up going to the rebellion, while your brother, who's the clone trooper, ends up working for the Empire. And it turns out you're a Jedi, that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. The controls took me a while to get used to. It's not as fluid as the other Battlefront games, made by Rebellion, this game of all people. And it's quite an underappreciated gem. Once again, all there. And yeah, I remember buying this from CEX in December, and they had a bit of an error on their front because it's not in our system, even though the game was there. And I was like, okay, a bit weird of a technical issue. And final PSP is Test Drive Unlimited here. Unfortunately, I can't tell you anything about it. I was meant to return it a few weeks ago, but I just forgot, to be honest. It doesn't work. It gets to a certain point of the title cards, then it gets to a loading screen and it gets stuck. And you'll see the reason in a minute if it will show up on camera. The UMD is haggard, it's buggered. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up. If you can see the outer case is quite scratched, but I don't know if you can see, there it is. You can see a ring scratch all the way around the UMD disc. How someone's done that to a UMD, I have no idea. How do you do it? The whole point of a UMD is that it doesn't get scratched. They either just left it out or threw it around or something, or they dropped their PSP while it was playing. Or they just took a key to it and just went all the way around it for some reason, but who knows. I need to take it back because I was looking forward to playing that, an open world racing game on the PSP. I was like, cool. But no, it doesn't work. And how CEX didn't pick that up when they took it in for trade-in from someone. Like, how do you miss a massive, great big ring scratch all the way around the disc? And I know CEX don't have the best track record, but for me, I've always had pretty good luck with them in terms of quality of their games, even like the more retro and legacy titles. But that ring scratch all the way around that UMD baffled me, to say the least. And I was like, how did they miss that? And even the outer casing, I'll try and show you again, is completely scratched. Like, I mean, look at that, like the complete scratching around the outer case here. Like, what the hell happened here? And just to reiterate, that what is going on with that? How do you scratch it so symmetrically all the way around like that with a UMD? Someone must have just dropped their PSP when they were playing the game. But I will get this returned at some point. I was meant to do it like a couple of weeks ago, but to be frank, I either forgot or I couldn't be bothered. Up next is another classic game that I picked up. I played quite a fair bit of it, and that's Scarface: The World Is Yours. I had this on the Wii, couldn't get on with it because of the controls. On the PlayStation 2, much better, much better. It's fantastic. This game's really good, underappreciated gem from that era. Sort of just a GTA clone. Been played this a fair bit, haven't finished it yet. It's 1980s Florida. What more could you like? The music's great, the visuals are pretty good for the time. The voice actor's quite good too, if not a bit really profane. If you're like really offended by like swearing, like a lot of swearing, maybe don't play this game. But it's not Al Pacino portraying Tony Montana in this game, and also Scarface is one of my favorite films of all time from the 80s. Also, it's not, as I was saying, it's not Al Pacino portraying Tony Montana. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sure if I remember, I'll put it up on screen, or you can correct me down below if I forget to put it up on screen. He does an insanely good impression of Al Pacino doing Tony Montana in this game, and it's brilliant. As I said, not for the light of heart. If you're like sort of squeamish about like lots of profane language and graphic violence too is the other thing, but really underappreciated PS2 game. I wish it would just get like an HD port or like a remaster or something. Like Night Dive Studios would do something about it. I don't know who would do it. THQ Nordic, who knows? I don't know who owns the rights to this game at the moment, but I'm also licensing issues with the movie too. A couple of Switch games. I didn't pick these up, but I picked them up. Well, this one I didn't pick up that I'm holding in my left hand. This one I picked up in November, I think it was. Assassin's Creed Ezio Collection, which has 2 Brotherhood and Revelations on Switch. I finished all 3 of these games now. I finished Revelations recently at the time of recording this. Really good, although I will say Revelations is quite buggy out of the 3 of them. I don't remember it being buggy on the 360 originally. My problem with the Revelations on the Switch is that it has audio issues in terms of like it syncing up with the action sometimes. So like Ezio will do like a sword slash and like stab someone, and the audio would like catch up later. It's quite bewildering and a bit jarring sometimes. Or when you jump off the building and he rolls, no sound plays, but it will play later, and it's just a bit irritating. And also I had one crash near the end of the game, which was quite annoying. Fortunately, the checkpoint saved where I was. Went a bit Sean Connery there. Saved where I was at that point, but yeah, it was just a bit annoying. I don't have any footage to show you because you can't record footage on Switch with this game. Switch is very odd with what games you can and can't record footage with, and when it comes to 18+ games, like I can't in The Witcher 3, but I can in Doom 2016. I can't in Doom Eternal, etc., that sort of thing. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. Just a few niggles with Revelations. I started playing this, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I always keep forgetting these titles sometimes. A really fun platformer. This is a very recent start that I played. Just a really adorable platformer. My partner, she recommended this to me for months, and I finally got around to finally playing it. This is the first time Kirby had a full 3D platformer adventure, that sort of thing. Just really solid game. Kind of reminds me of like Mario Odyssey, and Astrobot. Although this game came out before Astrobot, I believe. Astrobot probably takes quite a few cues from this game, with which I'll get to in a minute, because with like collecting the Waddle Dees in the level, there's like stipulations, but you also have to collect. There's a set like amount of like hidden Waddle Dees that you collect in the level, but you also have like different objectives to collect additional Waddle Dees. And I'm saying Waddle Dee too many times now, and it's starting to sound weird. But anyway, this game looks great. It plays well, and it's just a solid platformer, and I can't wait to play more of it. Right, onto the PlayStation stuff now, and I'm trying to think where to start. Let's start with this one, Ghost of Yotei. I bought this with voucher from CEX. I know 58 quid seems a bit steep, but I knew I was going to play it a lot, and I did play it a lot with a lot of the side content. Absolutely love it. I think it's better than the first one. Sorry if that annoys some people, but I think it is genuinely better than the first game. The story is interesting. Yeah, it's a revenge plot, but what happens within that plot is what overshadows the simplicity of the overall context of the plot with the revenge plot. You see like the main character Atsu with her childhood, the characters that she interacts with, just overall her character arc throughout the story, which I'm not going to spoil, her developing throughout her revenge adventure is really interesting. And Erika Ishii, who plays Atsu, does a fantastic job. It's just really good. The combat's great with the addition of the different weapons. They got rid of the stances from the first one. I think the weapons are better because it you don't get confused as easily as you would with the stances. I'm not saying that the stances were totally confusing, but you can generally, if I like step away from this game for a while, I can go back to it and go like, okay, I need this weapon to deal with like a shield bearer or a spear thrower, that sort of thing. Whereas when I went back to Tsushima after a while, like if I've unlocked all the stances, I got quite confused quite often. But yeah, overall it's a great game. Beautiful open world, beautiful story, gruesome and over the top combat with gore, with hands flying off, that sort of thing. Just brilliant overall. Up next is a game that I finished too. There are quite a few games I finished in here. I think these are all finishes. Yeah, they are. Ghostwire Tokyo, a very underappreciated game on PlayStation 5 and Series X. You can only get it physically on PlayStation 5, so if you're into the physical collecting side, which I am with games that I love, PS5 version. I played this on Game Pass originally in 2020, was it 2024? Yeah. And I stopped playing because I knew in 2024 I was getting a PlayStation 5. Link my video about the PS5 down below. Yeah, it's fantastic. Really underappreciated game. It's not a horror game. I remember when they first announced this game, it was at E3 2018, 2017. It was one of the two at Bethesda's conference. Lots of people kind of sort of drew the conclusion that it was going to be a horror game because it's made by Tango Gameworks, because before this game, they had only made The Evil Within 1 and 2. And I could understand why people drew that conclusion. Not to say that there isn't horror elements in this game, because there are, with the sort of liminal spaces where there's no one in the streets, that sort of thing, with the weird enemy design that's very sort of Dark Water. If you've seen that film before, one of the enemies, it's like, yeah, you've seen Dark Water, have you? Very underappreciated Japanese horror film. Yeah, it's a first-person shooter basically, but you use magic, and it's just very well done. Tight controls, great gameplay, really good progression, interesting, weird story, but overall just a really underappreciated game. And if you've got a PlayStation 5, if you've got Game Pass, just give it a go. It's just so good. Up next is a couple of platformers. I'm not going to do this in order, like both at the same time, because they're quite different. Even though I wouldn't class this as a platformer, if I'm being honest. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. We bought this quite a while ago, me and my partner, for like 15 quid in CEX. I think we were in Kings Lynn in the summer of last year, and we picked up because we thought maybe it's going to go up in price again. And at the time of recording, it's like 20 quid in CEX again for some reason, because all their prices have gone up. Maybe it's because after the Christmas craze, it's just gone. But yeah, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, great game. If you've got a PS5, it's kind of just a must-own, an absolute must-own. It's kind of crazy how many games in this series that Insomniac Games has just pumped out over the years since, like, what was it, 2002, since the PS2. But yeah, great game, beautiful visuals. It very much looks like a Pixar animation, just like, and the gameplay is fantastic. I haven't played a game that's this tightly controlled in a long time. Platforming goodness, third-person shooting, quite overwhelming in some areas because the amount of enemies on screen. No slowdown at all, by the way. It runs beautifully at 60 frames per second. I played it in performance mode, and I didn't notice any slowdown at all. Even like in some of the areas where it was just so overwhelming with the amount of stuff on screen, this game never slowed down once, and it's crazy. Just a really good game, and if you haven't played it, you have to play it if you own a PlayStation 5. I'm sure if you've got a PS5, you probably own it anyway, but anyway, another game I finished, and we bought this a while ago in late 2024, was Astrobot. I stopped playing it for some reason because there were other games on my list to cover on Instagram and TikTok at the time before I started YouTube. Yeah, Astrobot, just a wonderful game, a love letter to PlayStation fans, just a love letter to PlayStation history in general. The amount of attention to detail of like just the different PlayStation franchises, some of the well-known ones like Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted, to the lesser-known ones like Katamari Damacy, like Karashi, that sort of thing, like the old weird obscure PS1 games, like that they pay homage to in this game. And just in general, the platforming is really good. As I said about Kirby, I think Astrobot took a few cues from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because there's about collecting the bots, that sort of thing. It's very similar to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but also stuff like Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine, and that's not a bad thing. People go, oh, they're just copying those games. It's like, well, of course they're going to take elements from certain platforming games that have come out over the years. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what the game industry does. They take elements and they imitate them from different games and genres, because that's how art works. You imitate, and imitation is the best form of flattery, as they say. But anyway, rant aside, great game, and again, must own for the PS5. I'm losing all my games here in the pile. And last two here, quite a big one here that I finally finished. I bought this in 2021 on PlayStation 4. I played through the PS5 version because it was a free upgrade, of course, and that's the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah, fantastic game. Love the original. I didn't finish this one. I bought it in 2021, but played it a bit and just couldn't be bothered to play through it anymore because 2021, I talked about this before in previous video. 2021 wasn't a good year for me, so I wasn't really playing many new games, even though I bought this one sort of like fairly new. And yeah, finally finished it on the PS5 version, which was a free upgrade. Really loved it. Ready for, well, not Rebirth yet. I've got the Crisis Core remake. I'm pointing over there because my shelf is to my right. Yeah, Crisis Core remake I'm going to do first before I get to Rebirth, because I haven't got Rebirth yet in my collection. But yeah, this is really good. Just seeing like the elements of the original PlayStation game, or the Midgar section anyway, brought to life in current generation visuals is absolutely amazing. Like, you think like, okay, this is exactly how I imagine it looking like. That's how I imagine how these characters talk, that thing, especially like Aerith, who has that sort of bubbly and enthusiasm about her, childlike wonder she's still got, even though she's an adult. And just seeing Aerith and Tifa's relationship as friends grow over the game is really cool too. And Cloud sort of turning into this all like closed in, sort of shut in with his emotions, kind of warming up with this band of mercenaries is fantastic. It's just overall great. Voice acting's a bit hokey, but it's a Final Fantasy game. I'm kind of used to that. But visuals are amazing, absolutely stunning game, considering this came on the PlayStation 4 originally. The PS5 version elevates it a bit more, gets rid of a lot of the dodgy textures, that sort of thing. And this game came out on Switch 2 recently as well, so if you're interested, I do recommend getting it on the PS5. But if you've got a Switch 2, why not play it in portable? And finally, I've been quite excited with the announcement of Resident Evil Requiem. I'm stuttering because I've been talking for too long. And I replayed Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I played the PlayStation 5 version. I beat it on Xbox back in the day when it came out in 2017, but I bought it on PlayStation 4 when I first moved to Norwich. It was like £6. I believe it's a bit more now because, again, CEX prices, they fluctuate all the time. Bloody hell. Yeah, insanely scary game, nearly 10 years old, and it still holds up immensely well. I'll pick and choose what kind of footage I show on the B-roll here because it's extremely violent, quite graphic, a lot of body horror. I don't want YouTube to flag it, basically, is what I'm saying. But yeah, takes vibes of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre with like the sort of empty house in the middle of the woods. I mean, it's back in a scary residence, Resident Evil, you know. But yeah, really good. Kind of takes it back to sort of grounded level of its horror after Resident Evil 5 and 6, which went completely off the wall, the action sort of element. Not to say that Resident Evil hasn't been action-based before, because my favourite game in the series, Resident Evil 4, is completely bonkers and over the top. But Resident Evil 4 has always kind of like managed to maintain its horror elements despite its action-orientated gameplay. This goes way back to the sort of survival horror of the first game, and first person too. And I've seen a lot of people write this off because it's first person, because some people just don't like first person games, and that's fair enough, but demanding them to make third person for this game, I know they've done it for 8, but third person wouldn't work for this game because of the enclosed spaces. So yeah, it's a great first person horror game, and I know it kind of like jumped on the bandwagon of first person horror games, that sort of era, but really good game. If you're a Resident Evil fan, or even if you're not like a fan of Resident Evil and just a fan of like first person horror games, it's a must play, and super cheap these days. And that's it in terms of like past couple of months of like pickups, games I've been playing, games are finished. Oh, I played like Metroid Prime 4 on Switch, which was given to me by Nintendo to cover on Instagram, etc. That I did a video about it here on YouTube. I liked it. Lots of people didn't like it. Fair enough. If you don't like it, fair enough. If you do like it, just don't have a go at people for different opinions. I don't understand of having to go at people who genuinely enjoyed it, or people who generally dislike it. If you dislike it for like valid reasons, instead of throwing profane like words at the wall and going this and that without proper intellectual criticism, then your opinion's not really valid in that regard. But if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, fair enough. I liked it. I really liked it, but that's just me. But yeah, I'm nearly at 200 subs, 190 the last time I checked. Just a big, massive thank you to you lot for sticking by me with my sort of ramblings with these vlogs. I like doing these vlogs because I can just talk about games I've just been playing and not just go into like breaking them down, that sort of thing, and just more of a chat with you. And yeah, as I said, the weather here has been not great in terms of like early January, like late December. It's been very cold. I've still been riding, obviously snow being the exception. I can't ride a road bike in snow, that sort of thing. But yeah, still on the exercise, that sort of thing. No bike troubles as such since August when I snapped my chain. But yeah, anyway, thanks for sticking by me. I love bringing these videos to you. Not sure what video I'm doing next week. I'm kind of tossing up either going into talking about Resident Evil 7 or Ghost of Tsushima. I have other ideas too, which I won't talk about. But yeah, I'll see you next week, and thanks again for sticking by me, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll see you later and a wonderful day. See you later. Bye.